Good evening and welcome to Big Talk here on Global Television, your political program, your favorite one at that. I mean, you're watching us on DSTV, channel 365, and Star Times, channel 276. Kindly follow all the platforms and subscribe. Drop your comments. On the course of the discussions, we'll be taking some of those comments and your reactions from the comment station. But let's get to the National Assembly. A member of the Senate and a member of the House of Reps have defected from this other party to the other. Let's take that the senator representing Imo East and the member of the Labour Party, Ezemwo Onyewuchi, has defected to All Progressive Congress. Senate President Godswill Akpabio read his defection letter during the plenary earlier today. The Imo State Governor and the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, Obu Zadima, was in the chamber when the letter was read. Same scenario played out at the floor of the House of Reps. But very controversial comments last week between the Senate President and Senator Natasha. And now Senator Godswill Akpabio has tendered an apology to the senator representing Kogi Central over some remarks he made. Last week, Akpabio told Natasha that not to speak like she was in a nightclub and had spoken without being recognized by the Senate President. Weeks prior, Ireti Kingibe, senator representing the Federal Capital Territory, was shut down when she protested that she was being excluded from the affairs of the nation's capital. The speaker on the floor of the Senate, Akpabio, said he will never intentionally denigrate any woman. Let's take a look at what Senator Akpabio said in his apology.
Still learning. Even those of us that have been in the Senate for 16 years, we are still learning. So we'll do well to continue to learn. But in the course of my talking to one of my distinguished sisters that she should speak whenever she's recognized, I made reference to the fact that we are not in a nightclub where people have to shout above the noise of the music. And the social media went agog. I'm not on social media, but my wife called me that people got angry. They published her number and said people should occupy her. So she used to receive, she received over 2,000 to 3,000 phone calls a day. And then I tried to on one of my phones. I realized it was in the public. In fact, the phone crashed after about 3 hours. So I am very happy with the interest generated by Nigerians in what goes on in these chambers, because we are here to cater for their interests. And so for them to be so interested in what goes on here means that we are connecting with the people directly. And it would have been terrible if we were doing all this work and the people were not even aware of what we are doing. But the communication was totally misunderstood. Instead of taking it for the nature of what we said, that you should.
That was a speech of the Senate President earlier today at the floor of the Senate regarding his last week comments for trying to shut down Senator Ireti and Senator Natasha. I mean, it was very sensitive, but the Senate President is out to tender his apology to his colleague moving forward and, of course, to put to rest of the issue. But tonight, President Tinubu earlier today has called on many Nigerians youth planning to protest against his administration's policies to shelve their plan as government has been putting in place measures to address their grievances. Addressing reporters at the presidential villa earlier today, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, declared, and the president asked him to communicate to Nigerians, especially the youth, that he has listened to all their concerns and having the measures are already ongoing to address the challenges. Let's take a listen to the Minister of Information earlier today.
We also discussed the issue of the country generally, and Mr. President has asked me to again inform Nigerians that he listens to them, especially the young people that are trying to protest. Mr. President is listening to them. He takes what they say seriously and is working assiduously to ensure that this country is good not just for today, but also for the future. The issue of the planned protest, Mr. President does not see any need for that. He's asked them to shelve that plan. He's asked them to await government's response to all their pleas. He has listened to them, like I said, and a lot is happening. Only today, the National Assembly has expeditiously passed the new national minimum wage. You can see how the president is working. It was transmitted only yesterday. Today it has been passed. A lot of other interventions that the president has also put in place are also going to be looked at expeditiously in the interest of Nigeria. So there's no need for strike. The young people out there should listen to the president and allow the president more time to see to the realization of all the goodies he has for them.
Well, that was the reactions and the intercession from the Minister of Information for the fact that the president said he's listening to what the people are saying. You understand the pains of Nigerians, that rather they should go on the path of peace. But a lot of concerns and of many Nigerians, especially the young people, who feel that the country for 1 year under President Bola Tinubu has not given them back the dividends of democracy, and to some extent is making life so much hard for them. My guest tonight is a member of the defunct APC Presidential Campaign Council, Seshius Mekera. Of course, has been on the program before, but right now he will be giving us an understanding better of what it means for Nigerians to keep having patience on this administration. Welcome to the program and good to have you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I must make correction. It's Sesu, not Seshu.
Seshu.
Sesu.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
The tension on the country right now is very tense.
Sure.
The people are rather saying that the government had promised so much, but for 1 year, nothing can really be pointed out to. What's the concern about this, which is also triggering the agitations by the young people to go on a protest?
There's no denying the mood of the nation. Of course, I have to also admit that as it stands at the moment, we have challenges. But in spite of these challenges, I can only ask that we remain hopeful, because there are steps or measures taken that point to the fact that this is a government of will that wants to do things right, even though some of these policies are things that are far-fetching, that they come with a long-term plan that it's not going to start benefiting us immediately. But I'm believing and hoping as efforts are put in place, I can only ask for patience, as we all should contribute to seeing some of these things come to fruition.
Many Nigerians are running out of patience. And it therefore means that the promise seems not to really come forward. I understand that you must exercise patience, but many Nigerians really want to see, is there a missing line? What are we not getting it right? Should we now push blame to other administrations, or is 1 year not enough to start getting things done and fixed? What's your assessment to a Nigerian who is running out of patience? Because when you look at the frustrations of some young people, it seems the economic development policies of the presidencies and interventions is doing so far is not reflecting. Give us an understanding, because you're a member of the party.
I take on this as a Nigerian would be, like I've always said, I'm very much aware of what's happening. I cannot therefore come to sit on your station here and then start defending government, and maybe because I also participated in the coming on board of the government. I am saying this on the part that I am also a member of this great assembly, which is Nigeria. Nigeria is a bigger entity than the positions these people all hold. My advice would be, as the programs are read out for us to subscribe to, there are interventions that are ongoing. Take, for instance, the issue of student loan. Of course, a portal has been opened, and a lot of students have already started applying.
All right, let's go on a break. We'll be right back to continue with that discussion. But before we go on a break, you are trying to give us an understanding if some of the initiatives are not counterproductive. Yeah. Give us a better understanding on that.
Well, the initiatives of government, these things, they are things that come with a lifespan that lasts a lifetime. So it's not something that we expect should be done with immediate effect, but it's something that as we go forward, we see some of these things happened. A first step has been taken. Like the issue of students' loan, it benefits majorly the younger generation, because a lot of students out there they find it quite difficult trying to pay their tuition fees and all of that. But with the introduction of the students' loan, the burden has been lifted off their shoulders. And this is what happens with the student loan. The student loan entails that as you take the loan to fund your education, upon graduation, it's expected that after 2 years, if you're gainfully employed, only then you can start paying back to the government. And this is an interest-free loan. It doesn't come with any interest. And if for the duration of time that you stay idly without getting any employment, you're not under any obligation to forcefully make payment.
All right. Based on what is quite going on, because I understand some of these interventions might be the good intentions of the president, but it looks many oppositions are watching.
Yeah.
Other parties are watching, taking note as well, also planning probably what to use against your party in the forthcoming elections. And you already have Edo elections, you have Ondo elections to go. I mean, what do are you not bothered about some of these issues? Because it looks as if it's a concern for your party. Understanding that this is what you promised many Nigerians, but you may not have an explanation so far to give, because the life of Nigerians, I mean, are not getting better to them.
Anyways, elections
are you not bothered about the next elections of the APC?
No, I am not bothered about the next elections. I am bothered about our well-being, okay? I am one man that prioritizes the well-being of every Nigerian. I am not the type that plays the gallery, and I believe the right things should be done. Talking about the forthcoming elections, like the Edo election, the Ondo elections, and there's yet another off-season election that are expected to be held this year or probably early next year. But some of these elections are elections that are decided by local factors. They are not something that is tied to a particular political party or where one political leanings is traced to. So I can tell you this is largely about who the candidate of a party is. Is your candidate popular? Of course, that is going to decide who gets elected into office in any of these off-season elections in the sub-nationals.
The young people are really taking these issues, so hard. Even the spokesman to the president had pointed fingers to obedient movement, that Peter Obi should be held responsible if the anarchy occurs in the country. And now we are taking him to court with over 5 billion, demanding 5 billion for compensation. Do you feel that Anonuga was fast to make such allegations? If not allegations to him, it probably may begin to produce some evidences and prove in the court. But don't you think it was so fast to start pointing fingers? Or do you feel that when the opposition speaks, they're speaking from the point of opposition, not really reflecting on what the Nigerian people are really going through?
Well, the question we should ask is, who are the promoters of this protest? I think that's where we should start interrogating it.
I don't know normal Nigerians who are feeling that
of
government...
Of course, there are Nigerians with party affiliations. There's no denying that. Of course, social media makes it easy for us to trace certain issues. And of course, some of these things, they are fast spread on the social media. And who are these guys that are pushing all these things on the social media? I've come across a leaked audio. And in that leaked audio, you could loudly hear people that have pledged allegiance or people that have worked for the obedient or Obi, as it were, in the last general election, making a lot of threats and promising fire and brimstone what to do, which to me is unconstitutional. It's an illegality because we have representatives. In any case, if I want to vent my anger or take my complaints to the government, it passes through my rep, somebody representing me in the parliament. And the best way to do this is extensive engagement. And who are these people that should stand to engage on my behalf? The people who have elected into office to represent me. So we have people that make the law. I cannot come under my private capacity to start demanding for things that are not realistic. Okay, if I am talking about pushing protest, of course the Kenyan June 20th protest should be an eye-opener to us. Are we really matured or ready to handle such situations? My answer would be no, because we've had instances and situations. The NSAS is just one of those things. And sadly, what happened in Kenya recently, we all know. And I believe you're in the media, you've come across a letter written by a member of the parliament that instigated the protest in Kenya, Honorable George Kombori Ndugu. Of course, it should help us know that this thing comes with danger. And since I cannot coordinate properly, because when you lead one or two persons, you can of course speak for yourself, but you cannot vouch for the other person, because protests we've seen being hijacked in this very country of ours. So it is not something new. I don't subscribe to any form of protest right now. I am not saying that because I am in agreement with what's happening. Of course, depends. It does not know if you're an APC member, if you're PDP, but these pains, are they expected? Of course, yes. Why? Because there are policies of government that have just been introduced. So when a policy is introduced, it takes time for it to benefit the general masses. So starting off from this beginning, it has never been there. So you're starting afresh, so to say. So there are pains you're going to feel, but this is just going to be temporary.
I mean, following to these, some of these issues of the protests, even NLC, reacted yesterday.
Yeah.
They pointed fingers at even the president has also led a protest before in this country.
Of course.
What Senator Adams Oshimele, when he was the NLC president, have led protests in this country, and now the member of your party.
Sure.
We've had several persons in government today that one way or the other in the past had led protests. Is it not a fundamental right of people to protest? Does it mean that people are going against the law when we have people who are already in government today that also took to streets some of their pains and anger? Is there any difference within the street protests?
Of course there is. And ask me why. There's no denying the fact that as a Nigerian, I'm entitled to the right to freedom to associate freely, which is contained in Section 40 of our Constitution. But is that right overriding on other people's other rights? The answer would be no. I shouldn't engage in an act that impede the other person's right. We've seen protests here in this country that people hijack these protests, and even our highways are taking over, preventing other road users from making use of these public facilities. That is an infringement on other people's rights. So the issue of protest, it's something that should be well coordinated. And I think the NLC has a responsibility to do this. If we have an NLC that's up and doing, we've seen NLC do a lot of things in the previous months as this government came on board. And that's to point to the fact that it should be the appropriate quarter for us to register our grievances for them to take it forward. We've seen them engage government, and just last week, they've agreed on the minimum wage, which is something that will be implemented. I've read in the social media where the NYHC that the coppers are expected to earn much higher than it was before now. So I think these are interventions that if we are patient, they will pay off ultimately, because as a younger person, these things are largely targeted to benefit the younger people, which I believe should be supported by all, and then to give it time for it to flourish.
Even when we're trying to target the fact that there is a need to shelve protests, but there are so many questions government must begin to answer. There are many, it should be things that government also have to start addressing. Some of this issue has to do with economic policies. We understand that fuel subsidy removal has not in any way been so good for a common Nigerian. To some Nigerians in the street, it was the only thing that they were benefiting from government, subsidizing fuel. It was the only commodity they felt entitled. It was the only commodity that they felt privileged to enjoy as a Nigerian to them, away from other issues you may be able to point out to. Removing subsidy is a way of taking something out of them. For over a year now, they have been grappling with these issues. How do you speak to a Nigerian who is not understanding a better order economy? Because the difference between economy and economics, it means that the reality on ground has to first meet. Because we understand some of these interventions fixed by the president in a way of addressing our future challenges of economy. How do you speak to a Nigerian who feels that removing subsidy was not in any way the good for this country? It wasn't in any way good for a common man.
The issue of subsidies sometimes is not properly reported, because the whole thing is addressed to the present government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Of course, this has always been there. All the presidential candidates in the 2023 general election all promised they were going to remove subsidy. And in any event, had any one of them won outside President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they'll be faced with this situation of subsidy because the first year of the present administration ran on a budget it inherited. And the previous administration did not make provision for subsidy beyond June. So I want to appreciate the president for taking the bold step. He was bold enough to open up, to tell us on the day of his inauguration that, look at what I'm confronting. The issue of subsidy, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to tell you, subsidy is gone. Because if he had played smart, like, okay, I will not mention it because I don't want to trigger the anger of the general masses, of course, it will take us unawares. But another thing is there's a sabotage on the part of the marketers, the petroleum marketers, and even as citizens. Because the moment that was announced on inauguration day, they did not even wait for the June deadline to come and go. Immediately, I can tell you, I traveled home to my state for the inauguration of my state governor. So I was there. We drove down there with a friend, and we were caught up in the whole mess, and it wasn't funny. So sometimes we blame the government, leaving others that also have a way or two to contribute to the economy of our dear nation. Take, for instance, look at the issue of this back and forth argument between the chairman, Dangote Group, and the NNPC. You know, the establishment of that fuel plant in Lagos was a very nice intervention. But I can tell you, people have their own misgivings because the issue of monopolizing production has been there. It's been echoed. People are talking about it. They are trying to say that it's because the character, the person in question, it's someone that does not want competition. I disagree with that. Because if he's that type, he would not even establish that.
So you point to the finger that there are cabals in the oil sector that are undermining the transparency of that particular sector to work.
Of course. Of course.
So does the president lacks the political will to address them? Because that's why Nigerians elected him to be the president.
So come on, some of these things, they are not political appointments. Manning the fifth sector, it's not all that are political appointments. Of course, you can say the GMD can be sacked. But how about other people that are working? This is something that is all-encompassing. You have DPR, part of it. Okay, has DPR been up and doing? DPR regulates and monitors pricing. Okay, you go out there. People are selling as they please. Who is the regulating body? It's the DPR. What has DPR done? So sometimes we try to take the blame to these guys. Fine, we do it. It's our right to do so. But in doing so, we should also try to be mindful of the fact that there are forces around. And these forces, they are part of us, we are part of them. Because sometimes I am looking at, if Mr. A that's privileged to hold a particular position, that position demand of him to be fair and just, to do right by Nigerians and Nigeria. Of course, he fell short of that. And as a citizen, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to criticize him, bearing in mind that he swore or had promised that he would work to benefit the generality of Nigerians? No, I wouldn't do that because maybe I'm feeding from the crumbs that fall from his table. So sometimes, take for instance, we own positions in this country. If somebody is appointed a minister from my state, I'll go all out to defend him even if it's wrong, because I've attached tribal sentiments to it, I've attached religious bias to it, and then it has beclouded my sense of judgment. I don't want to do right to the bigger picture, which is the Nigeria and the Nigerian identity that I bear. So sometimes confronting issues like this require you to deplore every nationalism in you, irrespective of what you stand to gain.
I mean, all eyes are on the president.
Sure.
I will always get the point because we understand, like a sector like that, it must be able to be in charge, or he have people who should be in charge. We've seen him recruiting his best hands to the CBN. We've seen him recruiting this to this and that. Even Dele Momodu yesterday said that he's trying to bring the plan of Lagos, governing plans of Lagos to Abuja, to Nigeria. What do you make out of that statement? Because the templates might work in Lagos, but it's not a template that possibly is working in the country right now. What can you? What was the response to that?
When he said bringing the leadership of Lagos to the nation, to the federal. I don't know what context that refers.
Probably by appointment, because we may be able to point out some of those persons that the president have one way or the other worked with in the past, who are still in government today.
Okay.
Maybe from that angle.
Of course, everybody wants to work with the person he believes in. If you're given a position of responsibility, you know you have to deliver.
But this is Nigeria, cutting across 6 geopolitical zones. Should it just be only one zone?
Of course, everybody is represented. I, for instance, the SGF is from my state. That's a very key position. Do we say the SGF is from the southwest or is from Lagos?
Probably more appointment is from more Lagos side.
More appointments from Lagos.
Exactly. But we don't want to start counting.
Where I am not here to start counting or start defending who has been appointed, who merits it, or who has been appointed on the basis of paddy or who knows who. But I can tell you for free, if federal character is not reflecting on these appointments, I believe there would have been uproar. Now,
it's not even an issue. It's about delivery. Many Nigerians may not even have issues about who you're appointing into offices, because if we want to go by that, we may start pointing fingers to the last administration. We had one-sided kind of appointment in this country. Okay. But we're talking about delivery. What is your delivery capacity? Because when Dele Momodu made those contentions, it was on the grounds that the templates you are probably recruited in Lagos to use in the country Nigeria may not work. What is your reaction to delivery of those persons appointed by the president, irrespective of any region he has appointed?
The expectations are there. A lot of people have the opinion that the president should do a cabinet checkup. He should rejig his cabinet. I am one of those people that subscribe to that school of thought, because when I went out campaigning for him to become president, there were promises we made to the people. And we know that he's not going to deliver on this mandate alone. It's something that requires other hands on deck for him to deliver the promises we made to the people. There are a whole lot of appointments that in the fullness of time, of course, it will be unveiled that these people are not deserving of such appointments, because I am also one man that gets affected by some of these policies that these people manning this position drive. It doesn't go down to the people at the grassroots, but the expectations are still there. So in getting it right, I think this time has come for the president to start thinking of doing a cabinet checkup, because that should be the way forward. I have my own misgivings. There's no denying that. I'm a party member, but the Nigerian in me is bigger than the APC in me. There's no denying that. So I cannot, for whatever reason, sit on your program here and then start saying all is well. Of course, all is not well, but it's still work in progress. But blaming the president for everything is one thing I disagree with, because he has hired people to support in delivery of this mandate. And my advice to him would be to act fast, because he needs to do something in order to win the confidence of the people he's governing. Nigerians are very patient people. I must admit that. We are patient people. We love each other, but sometimes we allow politics divide us. But overall, Nigeria is a country that loves festas.
When you look at the fact that as well, I love your final words on that, that we are very patient people. We've exercised some of these patience. When you point out to the cost of running governance in this country, it also, touching to Nigerians. We've seen the budget of renovating or completing the vice president's lodge. Yeah. We've seen how much have been spent in running some trips. The president recently cut down the trips of the Senate, some of his ministers and all of those things. We've seen government expenditure. We've seen what is spent in the Senate. We've seen what is spent in the House of Reps. Even a senator from Abia State have to argue that. I mean, we should have go to sitting and go back to our houses in a contract level, go to sittings at the end of the day, you are paid and all of that, in a way of trying to reduce some of the pressure in cost of running government. House of Reps recently had to say we've tendered a 50% salary, and Nigerians are still saying it is not enough, just like Oliver Twist. To your concern, what's your concern generally and your party about the cost of governance? Because when you look at some of this issue, you know that is what is really hitting up the pressure we have on the little surviving economy that we have, away from telling Nigerians to exercise patience. Is the government people, are the leaders also exercising patience? Are they making sacrifices enough to meet up with the expectations of Nigerians? Speak about that very frankly, as you said, as a Nigerian.
In all honesty, in the first place, I don't think we needed a bicameral legislature, because I believe both the Senate and the House of Reps, if they were merged, we don't have some of these expenses that the government is running at a higher cost. Because servicing of these 469 men or parliamentarians is not easy. So that's one. But hey, we are here to deal with it. Bicameral legislature is what we are practicing, so we have to deal with it. I commend the House for taking such a popular decision, because it resonates with what Nigerians expect, and I saw the commendations coming from Nigerians, which, like you've said, like Oliver Twist, will always ask for more. There are so many things that I believe they are playing duplicating roles. Even in some appointments, some things are not necessary. For instance, when you have an IG, you have the Police Service Commission, you have the Minister for Police Affairs. Come on, it points to one thing. You can tell they are playing same role in my own examination. I don't see them doing anything different. So some of these things are things that they should take time to correct, and how is that achieved? I also believe that someday, God willing, if I'm given an opportunity, I should be able to do things differently. At least I've learned from the mistakes or from the successes recorded by people that are here before I come. So I am believing that if I have more opportunity, because some of these things I can sit down here, articulate very perfect solutions to all of this, but given opportunity, I will even do worse. And this has to do with the people around you. Sometimes the leader is not the problem. Of course, most of the time the leader is not the problem. The people around the leader has always been the problem, because every leader canvassing for votes to lead comes with very good, perfect intentions. I can tell you for free, of all the presidential candidates in the 2023 general elections, I can tell you they all came with very good plans and policies, but one was privileged to win. And this one that has won, that is today our president, he means well for the country. But is he going to do this job alone? That is where the question comes. I listened to Professor Patrick Lumumba. He said something that time has come for us to define Africa, to define democracy for ourselves. That when somebody is appointed into parliament, given a ministerial position, he goes home to celebrate with his people that have arrived. He's given a motorcade, and he becomes very important in the society. To me, him becoming important is not the issue. Does that reflect on the people that are so happy, rejoicing with him? That's the question. But are we holding them accountable? No. Our focus is on the presidency. Our focus is maybe the governors. But you have a whole lot. There's a chain that if we interrogate these issues properly and we engage extensively, we tell ourselves some home truth, at least we should be able to come up with something that's beneficial to all of us. Okay, a few are taking what belongs to all of us. And who are these few? Those that are privileged to be appointed into government, or those that are privileged to have been elected, that hold elective positions. So we need to do a whole lot as a people. And this we should do with the mindset that every one of us has a role to play.
All right. We just have a role to play, but the issues are quite very enormous. So we'll try to see how government are also on their games to tackle some of these issues as well as addressing them. Because away from identifying the issues, addressing them is just what many Nigerians are waiting for and looking forward to. But we just have to go on a break right now, and once we return, we'll be finalizing the conversation, looking at the way forward for Nigerians, and the fact that the president has asked and is actually calling on Nigerians to shelve the protest and give him more time to fix the economy and fix the situations in the country, that there are better days ahead. We'll complete the discussions right after this break. Please stay with us.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on global televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society. For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on global televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
With every
I want to thank everyone for staying with us on the program. We're taking a look at what it means for the president to ask Nigerians, and especially the young people, to shelve the intention of hitting the street on August 1st for protests for hardship, protests for the sad food crisis we're having in the country and all of that. But it seems that we sometimes may have pushed a lot of blame to the presidency, leaving even the subnational probably alone, not really mounting some pressure on them, not also getting involved in what is happening in different states. Of course, in the subsequent editions of this program, we'll be bringing some of the issues we have in different states, highlighting them, what governors are doing. So at the end of the day, we know that it's a chain where the presidency has to work, the subnational has to work, and even the local government that have been granted financial autonomy will also have to be on their feet to address some of these issues addressing these issues has a whole lot of churn. You as a Nigerian also have a role to play, because it seems the systems and the subjects, if you ask some of these leaders, that the subject are also the problem. You are expecting them to answer to so many of your applications and all of those intentions that you want from the government. All of these has also caused where we are today. But as citizens, we have to hold our leaders accountable, not just the president, but we also have to hold our governors accountable to what is happening. We'll be spotlighting right away on the program what is happening in Benue State. We understand the rival interests of the People's Democratic Party, who lost in the last election and gave it to APC. And now APC is in charge of Benue. But is the governor really, having to sustain what might have already existed in Benue State? How has he handled the insecurity challenges in Benue? We understand that it's a food basket of the nation. We are lighting this, right away. Makia, you understand the politics of Benue State. You understand what it means and what is happening right there in Benue. Yeah. Give us a better understanding what the governor seems to do. So far, has it been so good in terms of deliverables?
The present governor of Benue State, Reverend Father Hyacinth Umem, earlier, do I say he's a governor of destiny? He came in at a time that he has the highest level of acceptance. There's never been a governor before him that enjoys this kind of goodwill from the people. Of course, this has to do with his level of performance. His performance in 1 year has outperformed every predecessor before him, and I think that endears him to the people. Take, for instance, he has introduced programs and projects in the state that have never been there. They are first of its kind in that state as far as the state exists in the last 48 years of its creation. He introduced the construction of 2 flyovers, one in Makurdi and the other in Boko. So these are projects and programs of government that are going to benefit the people, and the people are so pleased with his performance. He's doing a whole lot. Before now, the civil servant in Benue believed payment of salary was a miracle. But today, these guys are paid regularly, and it goes down to the pensioners who are more of senior citizens, also benefiting from the fruits of their labor that they did when they were younger. So the governor is still doing a whole lot, construction of roads. In fact, he's called Mr. 25th when it comes to payment of salary. Of course, payment of salary is not an achievement, but we've seen governors before him that salaries were owed. What makes the dignity of labor is payment of salary when you earn your wages. But some of these workers were living penury because they work at the end of the day, they don't get paid. But today, the governor is doing that, and Benue State is majorly, if not 100%, a pure civil service state. Majority of the people in that state are dependent on salary for survival and payment of bills. But today, the governor has come to change the story that they are all smiles. So I think the governor is doing well, and we still expect he will do more, because thus far, what he has done in the last 1 year is to give us an idea of where we are heading, because he has shown will. He has shown determination. He has shown that, indeed, he never takes that mandate for granted.
All right. Some persons were not expecting less from a Reverend Father, but there was an allegation earlier this year. Okay. When you look at the fact that over, I think, 1.3 billion allegations against the former governor, Senator Swan, if I've gotten that correctly, who was actually alleged of some EFCC alleged of some money laundering under his covers of governance. When you now look at some of this issue, you point out to the fact that the sustenance regarding to the treasury of Benue has not in any way been addressed. Because when you point out to the fact that salaries have been held by the last administration, how has this governor tackled some of these issues, going after those who stole the wealth of Benue? Or has it let it go as a political, as always we find on the political scene? Because some of these things are what is undermining, some some functionality of state. We've seen people and governors come and go. At the end of the day, they're not questioned, they're not accountable on what they did. We applaud recently what is happening in Kaduna State, where the governor is up and doing, the House of Assembly is up and doing, trying to track where their funds have gone to. What is your sessions regarding, getting it right, even when administrations have gone, or do we have to sweep it under the carpet?
The problem first starts with governors enjoying immunity. When one becomes governor, he's untouchable. And of course, it makes them play the demigod. The heavy burden of debt that successive administrations have had to face or they deal with when taking over governance from their predecessor, it's alarming. There's no denying that. And the issue of accountability, some of these things, and that's where I always want to blame the judiciary, because there's no quick dispensation of justice. You drag some of these people to court, and then the matter is prolonged. It drags from here to even a decade after, and then there's no solution to it. And then if it continues that way unabated, of course, it never serves as deterrent. You see people coming. I want to assert here, without insulting anybody, myself inclusive, as Nigerians, we all call ole, ole, in local parlance. It's commonly known. We are quick to accuse, but it also appears to me we are all people waiting for an opportunity to steal from the treasury if the opportunity avails itself. So the issue of calling people to account or having people mess up the treasury, it has to do with discipline, and it's about who this person is. Of course, we've seen governors that they've governed, there's no trace of corruption that is traced to them. Sometimes allegations are made, but they cannot be substantiated and they are exonerated. But majority of these governors or former governors are all guilty of this.
So do you point out to the fact that, for the fact that we've had PDP losing out of the government house to IPC, has there been any difference? Because when you look at the fact that the governor then probably were not in anywhere having some of the issues he had with the people, probably because of the party internal crisis that the party were able to lose out in the election. Does this end the governor some level of expectations to do more, or has it sustained what the other administration started, or is trying to go on his own policies?
I want to say categorically, without mincing words, that there's nothing to sustain.
So you mean
yes, the governor before him did nothing. So I am not here to start saying he's sustaining on anything. Instead, I would say he has come to introduce his own policies and programs that are far-reaching. And of course, these programs are applauded by the Benue masses. The Benue people, the Benue man and woman is so proud of the governor.
But we are still having issues of insecurity ranking in your state.
The issue of insecurity, of course, there are pockets of violence here and there. That's human nature. As we cohabit, of course, there should be some disagreements, and the issue of insecurity, without trying to accuse, of course, it has always been external, just very few cases that are internal disagreements.
But the governor is the chief executive officer of the state.
The governor is handicapped.
We've seen other governors trying to tackle some insecurity in their state. We've seen. Are you saying that insecurity is even more than what we have in the southeast?
I can tell you for free, the governor is doing well, because I sympathize with those that have been victims of violence. But truth must be told, for the last 8 years or 9 years or so, I've seen a governor with will, a governor that has come with determination to engage every man or woman in Benue State. Because sometimes exclusion makes people begin to agitate. And so far, the governor has been engaging. He has done some, and some of our farmers have gone back to the farm. You're aware. We've had times in our state that people were not going to the farm at all. At least this is one farming season that I am seeing people go to the farm. But that is not to say that there are no security threats. Of course, there are pockets of security challenges here and there. And this is issue of security. I am not in a better position to discuss that on the TV, and I believe the governor knows what best to do, and to also allude to the fact that the issue of security lies on the exclusive list, which the presidency enjoys the prerogative to decide how security personnel are deployed.
All right. Thanks so much, Michael, the member of the APC defunct presidential campaign council. Of course, we better understand that it's for the national interest. But I just have a word for Nigerians on the night before we round off the program. The Nigerians, as we stand in unity and raise our voice to address the issues that matter, it is crucial to approach protests with a peaceful and organized manner. Peaceful protests are the fundamental right, and they can bring about positive change when conducted respectfully and responsibly. Remember that safety is paramount, so please look out for another and stay informed and ensure that your message is loud and clear. Now that the president has responded that he has errors, let us keep giving the president some time to see what areas he will touch on and addressing the many concerns we have as Nigerians. Because Nigeria is the only country we have, and we can only step back to build Nigeria and not to destroy the country. And that's the package of a program tonight on the Big Talk. Looking forward again to see you tomorrow. Especially we'll be looking at these issues in Labour Party, the defection from Labour Party to APC. What does the law say? What grounds did the senator have to defect? And even at the House of Reps member in the House of Reps. That will form part of the discussion tomorrow on the program Big Talk. Thanks so much for joining us. God bless Nigeria. I am Edikan Michael.